Do 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 do. Back, we back. Yeah. SP Convo. SP Convo. Let's do it. Yeah, we back. Make sure the levels is up. Everything is good. Yeah. Everything is good. Levels is up. Yeah, we're gonna get right into it, man. Right into it. This Carmelo Anthony thing is up and popping. The footage is out. I gave my spin on it. I call Carmelo Anthony the MVP. Going through all that, man, still standing. Got my reviews on it. It is what it is. But today we're gonna take a spin to another lane. Willie D, Dennis Spurling. My reaction to their observation of what happened to the Carmelo Anthony footage. Let's jump right into it, man. Fair use, man. This is fair use. Give my reaction to what I hear they talking points is about. Let you do it.
The expert witnesses, and the jury saw all this and came to the conclusion that the young man, Carmelo Anthony, was guilty of murder. Um, that hadn't changed because the jury's, my opinion hadn't changed because the jury's opinion hadn't changed. They saw all this evidence and then they came to that conclusion. We went over the statute in detail. Now we can piece this out and kind of figure out, well, what was the jury seeing? What did they see? What did they think? But we still don't have, we didn't have the benefit of sitting in the audience. I'm sorry, sitting in the jury pool and listening to all the evidence that was included. And that's the only thing that matters. So, no, my opinion hadn't changed as to why the jury, no, I don't think this is an invalid finding by the jury. So it hadn't changed in that regard.
So you see the video, you're watching the video right now, and you see what's going on. You see people under that tent. You can tell there's a lot of people under the tent because the area under the tent is dark, and you can barely see any bleachers toward the top. But now you see to the right, that's Austin and his brother and their goons charging. Look like they're charging towards the tent. Like they're being really intentional with charging toward the tent. I mean, you don't that don't say anything.
Willie, I don't see anybody charging towards the tent. Now you can say they're charging. I see some children, some young high school kids walking in the direction of that memorial tent, which is in black and gold. I don't see anybody charging, Willie D. I'm just saying I see everybody walking about the same pace. I'm just saying, Willie D.
If they actually
hold on, Willie. This is why people don't like me now, Willie. Willie, I've been catching all kind of hell. Look, right on the show, right? And I'm like, yeah, no problem, Willie. And now all these people angry with me for telling the truth. It's the truth. I mean,
but here's the thing, though. Like, you know, we're speaking from a legal standpoint, and that's why I brought you on, because I respect you speaking from a legal standpoint. You know, I'm speaking from a layman's standpoint. I'm not the person going out here doing any extensive research, and I'm not a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? I'm a layman, I'm a human being. I'm a person. I'm a citizen of this country, and I'm a resident of Texas. And what I see is some bullies who accosted this boy who was minding his own business, and one of them ended up dead because he put his hands on him. Like, we love to talk about how people need to keep their hands to themselves, and we're all for anti-bullying until the narrative don't fit like we want it to.
Well, even if somebody's bullying you, if they're not bullying you lethal force against them. If someone hits you, you have a right to use proportional force in defense. Willie, I mean, look, man, you and I both know that we have a lot of young men out there who, when they get afraid or they get angry, they overdo it. And that's the situation we're dealing with. It just so happened that the defendant in this case is black and the victim is white. But this happens 100 times a day in the black community, whether or not you get punched in the face because you looked at somebody wrong, you can walk away from that. We still have a lot of young boys and men out there who are over emotional with their response. And it's not just one race or the other. We got a lot of young men who don't know how to control their emotions. This just so happens to be a case where we have a death, and now society has to deal with it.
Yeah, and that's true. Like I said, you have a lot of young men that don't know how to handle situations. Most of the time, it's just usually a light scuffle. And sometimes it's situations where somebody is permanently injured. And this is one of them situations where a person is no longer here due to that situation.
But if you want to put that video back up, let's go ahead and break that down. And we could try to put ourselves in the place of the jury and see what the jury saw. I'll give you my legal take. If you want to run it all the way back to the beginning, I'll tell you what I see. Now, again, if you look from right to left, the highlighted part, that is Austin Metcalf and those gentlemen. If you can pause the video right there. If you can pause it right there, Willie. If you're able to pause it or run it back real quick. Those two young men he's walking with, you can slide it back a little bit. All right? Now I want you to, okay, stop it right about, keep going. Stop it right about there. Okay? So those two gentlemen are not Austin Metcalf's brother. Austin Metcalf walked in, that's him with the shorts on, with the black, appears to be a sweater and some shorts.
Man, look how big that boy is, man. Look at Austin Metcalf brother. Look how large he is, man. Wide back. Black shorts and black long sleeve shirt. Look how big that man is. Just imagine both of them on top of Carmelo Anthony.
Other two gentlemen, apparently his friends or schoolmates. This was supposed to be, the way people have it pictured is that these are a bunch of white boys picking on a black boy. But when I look at this young black man in the blue hoodie, he's clearly not white. So this was a mixed group of friends. This is not 1955 when you have a young black teenager surrounded by a bunch of white boys who are bullying them. This is a mixed school district. These boys play football together. On what Texas football team do they don't have a bunch of brothers on a young black man on the team? So this is not just a bunch of white. Now I'm just looking at what the jury look. I don't know what the jury contemplate, because when those people go behind those closed doors, this is what they contemplate. But if we're gonna make this out to be racial, this is hard for it to be racial if you're in a mixed group of friends. And mind you, these are the same group of quote.
All right, I get that, right? But just because you have a black guy there, you know how society is right now. Black what? It's sad that we have to live like that, but what ethnic group that black boy belong to? Because certain black people kiss up to white people more so than other black people. So it still could be a racial thing. It could be a biased thing towards a black American child. But I understand what he's saying as far as from the legal terms. Yeah, it don't look like that. Because if it was a racial thing, it would be all whites. It would be no black people or no other person of color there. From the law's point of view, yeah, I understand that.
Quote, you said they were rushing over. They don't look like they rushing me, but that's okay. But this is a mixed group of young men. Yes, Austin is white. Those two gentlemen, we don't know what color the young man with the black hoodie on and the pants are, but we know that other young man is not even white. So how can it just?
But we also know just because they're not white don't mean that they're not some flunkies. You know what I'm saying? He always got a flunky or two hanging around white folks. So that don't mean nothing just because he's black.
Okay.
What I understand, it was a black guy who called him over. The guy named Eddie was black. That's the guy who called him over and said, "Hey man, come sit with me." You know, he's the one. Like it sounded like to me, Eddie set Karmelo up.
Well, I don't want to go that far. I don't know Eddie, but I do know that there was a young man named Eddie who testified on the stand, I believe, and said that he basically denounced even knowing Carmelo Anthony, saying I didn't know him. And then the defense attorney showed some photographs of them hanging out at least 2 or 3 times in the past. I think they hung out at least 3 times a week. So obviously they were.
You see? So whoever that guy is, Eddie, I guess that's the one in the blue shirt. Even he played the game. You know, they put the evidence out there. They show him and Karmelo was rocking with each other. So for somebody to say he don't know Karmelo because the situation happened, I don't know. This thing just seemed like, he was, the cause was in his favor. It seemed like it's a setup, man. They set that boy up. They knew something about Karmelo that Karmelo wasn't going to be ready to prepare for. It was almost like a conspiracy thing.
Familiar with each other. Why the young man would deny knowing him, I can imagine, because Carmelo's hot. Okay, but if we go back to this incident, if we go back to this right here, I see 3 young men. One of them is Austin Metcalf, and another one is this young man in the blue. Clearly is not white. So we can't just say it's a bunch of white boys picking on Carmelo Anthony. What I said was Austin was walking with some other young men, apparently on his football team or from his school. So, race always plays a part, but this begins to eliminate the idea that it was all racial. Maybe it was just kids bullying kids. Maybe we as the adults are throwing more into it. This is because this is the game, and I've said this before. We love the race game here in America. We talk about it. Baseball is a national pastime.
I just said that. I just said the same thing. When there's other races against white, it gets highlighted and then it drops. When there's other races against black, it gets highlighted, then it drops. But when it's black and white, that's that good old black and white cookie. That's the American fabric. You ain't gonna get no sellout seats unless it's black and white. You're not gonna get no platinum tracks unless it's black and white, ebony and ivory. You're not gonna get no expensive movie deals. You understand? You're gonna get them Tubi movie deals. You ain't gonna get them Netflix and them grandstand motion movie. You know what I'm saying? IMAX theaters unless it's black and white. So the foundation of America is that black and white. You know what I'm saying? That's that chicken soup, that American pie. That's what get the nation to spin, that black and white. And whoever don't know that, you know it now.
The truth is, racism is race always plays a part, but this begins to eliminate the idea that it was all racial. Maybe it was just kids bullying kids. Maybe we as the adults are throwing more into it. This is because this is the game, and I've said this before. We love the race game here in America. We talk about it. Baseball is a national pastime. The truth is, racism is our national pastime. It's intrinsic. It's part of the ethos of this country. It's founded in the Constitution, and we're not going to be able to get around it. But just like bad weather, we're going to have to learn to live with each other in a civilized society. Okay, whether we like each other or don't like each other, we still have to live in this country. We have to use the highways, we have to use the public facilities, and we have to come to some consensus on what direction we're going to go in this country. So, but that's my first take from this. If you want to fast forward to the next scene, you can see these young men walking.
His brother's about to come through now.
Yeah, his brother is dressed identical to him.
Hunter, this is the one who, from what I understand, instigated everything.
Okay. So that's Hunter. They're twins. They're dressed alike. That's another friend. I'm assuming they're walking together. I don't even know if they know each other. So now, if we look here, well, I don't see the actual tent, but we can see Carmelo Anthony. They have him highlighted. He's gonna walk. He looks like he looks right, and then looks left. That's him walking with his backpack. He has a gray-looking hoodie on, and he's walking from the left part of the screen to the right. He's not rushing. There's a bunch of all of them seem to be walking at the same speed. He's now leaving the image, and this is now if you look carefully, that's the Memorial High School tent. Okay, now it's hard to see, but if you zoom in really close, right there under that the right M leg is where they're sitting. Now I can't. If you can blow it up a little bit, that'd be better. If not, we'll kind of people can see.
I don't know.
But there's going to be a push from left to right, and then there's going to be a response, and then you're going to see Carmelo Anthony sprint up the back of the tent and then run from the left to the right and break off up past the 40, 30, 20, and all the way up to the what it seems to be the parking lot. But you're going to see a little action, and this gentleman, if you look at the guy down in the front, see the one with the white? He's kind of bent over.
Yeah, I said that too the other day. It's like you could follow it. Whoever's down here at the bottom, right here at the bottom, right here, when he like bent over, he's like he gonna fall back a little bit or step back, and then about a good 2-3 seconds later, you're gonna see Carmelo dip out from here and dip and shoo, Sonic the Hedgehog on him. So something happened that had him scared. I'm still gonna say he was scared to death. I'm still gonna say it, man. I'm still gonna hold on to that. But let's, this is more clearer because it's blowing up. So.
When he leaves, that's when the action starts. When he leaves, when he picks his bag up, look up to the right about 1 o'clock, and you're gonna see the pushing start. Now, again, this is what the jury saw, along with the evidence. They looked at this and they determined that reasonable, the amount of force used didn't give rise to a self-defense argument. And
how do they know how much? If they can't see no more better than what we can see, how the hell they know how much force was used?
Well, again, this is just one piece of evidence. And again, Willie, I'm just explaining to the people what they heard. They got the police report. They have the police officer's video footage from his vest. They have the 20 witnesses. They have the 4 witnesses from the defendant. And so this is how they're able to put together what happened. What I don't see on this video, Willie, is I don't see a big ruckus going on under that tent and 4 or 5 people standing on top of Carmelo Anthony, punching him in the face, stepping on him, stomping him out. I don't see that. I see force going this way and then force going that way. The force going this way was the push. The force going that way was the knife being put or being plunged into Austin Metcalf's chest. This is what the jury saw. And so the question is.
Okay, so the jury's seen that, right? And I agree with Willie. If this is what they see, the same thing as us, who can determine what took place? But Dennis said that's just one piece of evidence. The police camera footage, I guess whatever other angle of video footage based on the stadium was presented, the testimony from the kids, you know what I'm saying? Words could easily be manipulated and said. So testimony don't mean nothing to me. But, let's just it just seemed like it's kids that's going through changes. They all offended each other. You know what I'm saying? That bravado. And unfortunately, Austin Metcalf is no longer here. And Carmelo got to do 35 years in prison. But for right now, it looks like Carmelo is right here. And you got all these students and people amongst here. So Carmelo could still have been feeling like, cornered, or, you know, whatever words is being said for him to make that move like that. But he wasn't there. So what we have is this footage right here. And it's from afar, so we don't know.
Did the jury have evidence to convict Carmelo Anthony of murder? And when we look at the evidence, first of all, we have to start off the fact with there was a knife. There's a young man who's dead. And in the great state of Texas, if you kill and a confession. So if you kill somebody in the great state of Texas, more likely than not, you're going to go to prison. Let's just start with that. If you kill somebody, if you kill more than one person, you're going to get the capital murder. You're going to get the death penalty, more likely than not. You'd be lucky to get life. If you kill somebody in the act of robbing them, then you're going to get capital murder. You're going to, if you hurt a child under 10, capital murder. If you hurt an elderly person, capital murder. Okay, so let's step down from that. If you murder somebody, more likely than not, you're going to get life. If you just straight up murder somebody, you're getting life. If you murder somebody and you're in the hot, passionate, or you didn't mean to do it, it was negligence, guess what? You might get manslaughter. You get manslaughter, you get murder. Let me run a scenario by you that happens, and this is where the action starts. Now you see Carmelo running off to the right, okay, running down the steps. He's taking off. You see him sprinting, getting out of there, moving along, and at some point up here, he's gonna slow down. He's getting outside the gate. There's a guy pointing out. There's people chasing him now because I guess they think he's trying to run away. And at some point, he's going to encounter the police officer, and he's going to say what he did. Now, if you have the police officers, they're pointing. You see the people behind him pointing that he did it, etc. If you have the police officer's body cam footage, you can hear Carmelo Anthony give what would be considered excited utterances, basically saying, he touched me first, okay?
Treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me. That's the alleged suspect. Okay. I am. No, I'm not.
See? Right there, man. He was scared. See how he broke down, started crying? He was scared. So something happened under that tent that the human eye can't see. But he was scared, man. I know his heart was palpitating. His mind was spinning. The adrenaline rushing. But look how he just ran down the steps and took off. He took off. So I don't know.
I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. Okay. Watch your head. All right, see a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay? All right. So your first name is Carmelo?
Okay. So you hear what he said. Well, this is what the jury heard. The jury heard he put his hands on me. The jury heard a confession. So we have a dead body, and we have a confession, and we have a murder weapon. It's really difficult to get around that. Now I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute. We've all seen verse 48, right? What's the first thing your defense lawyer tells you to do?
Oh, you blow you up.
The first thing your defense lawyer tells you to do is to shut the hell up.
Oh, shut
There
up.
you go. Now let's say Carmen, and look, I know people. What happened has already happened. Okay, but if Carmelo Anthony has said, "I don't have anything to say. I want to talk to my lawyer," then we could argue some of these other arguments that people are throwing out there. Oh well, Austin Metcalf fell on the knife. I've heard that before. I've heard somebody say, "Oh, it was a defensive plunge." So in other words, you lunge at somebody.
tried in Collin, racist as 53% white county. And this is a black boy accused of killing a white boy. This is why everybody.
Yep. You heard what Willie D said. It's truth. Whatever town that is, 53% white, and Carmelo harmed the white boy, he's going to jail. End of story. So they wasn't really trying to hear nothing. And that's why it's good to have a lawyer. You know, that's why it's good to have, black people go to law school so you can figure this out and you can understand when you're talking from an emotional point versus what is law. And law really not what law, for what I'm hearing, it's not really about being emotional. It's about what is. But really speaking from the point of the average person. And that's right. He's going to go to jail regardless because it's black and white. And that's pretty much, that was it. Because if Carmelo would have got harmed, this would have been swept under the rug. It probably still went to court, but it wouldn't have been nothing of it.
He was going to get railroaded, and he got not an all-white jury, but a jury that's comprised of not one black person in a racially charged case. Come on, man. The prosecutor, the judge, supposed to be. The judge got to say, "No, man, we ain't gonna let that happen." The prosecutor got to be like, "Man, let me just get 1 or 2 in here, so when I get my conviction, they won't be able to come back on appeal with it." Come on, man. You can't go in there. You can't do a racially charged case like this, man, and not have one black person on there where you got a black person being accused of killing a white person. In America, hell no, man. White people ain't not non-biased. They just not. They've shown us time and time again they cannot be non-biased in these type of situations.
Willie, let's do this. Let's flip the script. Let's say this trial happened in Harris County, and you got an all-black jury in Harris County, and we're gonna remove the race of the defendant, and matter of fact, we're gonna make them both black. Do you think an all-black jury would have convicted a black defendant who killed another black boy because he pushed him, stabbed him in the chest?
No.
Here in Texas.
First of all, okay, say it again. You said an all-black.
So if we got a black judge, this is a hypothetical because the internet they want hype. Okay, fine. My position is that an all-black jury with a black judge, black prosecutor, black defense attorney, a black defendant, black victim, they would have still found this young man guilty of murder because he killed somebody. A black boy killed another black boy. You don't think it stabbed him in the chest for pushing him? You don't think that an all-black jury would find murder?
I say maybe, maybe not. He got a better chance with an all-black jury. He got a much better chance of getting a fair trial with an all-black jury.
So
answer that, Dennis. Would he have had a better chance if he had an all-black?
And that's an interesting scenario. If it was a black-on-black situation with an all-black jury, convicted Carmelo of murder. I don't know, man, because black people are. You have some black folk that's to the law, to the T. You have some black folk that look for reasons why the situation, unfolded the way it did. You have some people that's compassionate. I don't know. He probably just would have got manslaughter. Because black people, for the most part, some days, sometimes, some weekends, black people mainly, they so broken with certain things, they just are forgiving people. So I don't know if he would have got murder. He probably would have got manslaughter. But that's an interesting scenario. It makes you wonder, black on black crime, black on black assault, black on black violence, are black people really that barbaric? Because if the crime happened and the family after a while will never forget, but they tend to forgive, I don't know. I don't know.
Tapped him in the chest for pushing him. You don't think that all black jury would find murder?
I say maybe, maybe not. He got a better chance with an all-black jury. He got a much better chance of getting a fair trial with an all-black jury. So answer that. Answer that, Dennis. Would he have had a better chance if he had an all-black jury as opposed to the one he had?
He would still have been convicted of murder, in my opinion, based on these facts. However, I'll say this. However, the only issue was whether it was going to be murder, manslaughter, or murder where you go to jail for 35 years, or I think it was 0 to 99. All-black jury may have said, well, he was defending himself. They may have given him the benefit of the doubt, but he was still going to go to prison. You see, that's where the racism comes in. See, he was going to get locked up that day. He was going to prison that day. The question was whether it was going to be manslaughter or murder. And you and I had this conversation. I said, I'd be surprised if he got anything less than murder. Now, again, it could have been manslaughter, but this particular jury found a way. They found a path, and this is a legitimate path to determine murder. They did not believe that this young man, the amount of force that he used in response to that attack was reasonable to justify murder. It didn't rise to the level of deadly force. Now, again, let's go back to this. We got to talk about these internet. They say he was jumped. I didn't see that on the video. I didn't see him getting packed out on the video. The jury didn't see it.
It
so that's why they didn't.
Very difficult to see anything on that video. I heard that there's a clear video out there.
But they also didn't hear it. I heard that too, but where is it? I heard that too. Somebody, but we didn't. It wasn't.
And this is why I say.
So now, that's what I'm saying. Was this video doctored? Was it edited already? Is it camera 1 that have the real footage, but this is camera 7 from the parking lot area? Because that footage don't show really nothing. Just Carmelo backing up and sliding off and running down the steps and then taking off. Wait. Children of today record everything. So who camera phone took the video of the altercation? One of them kids got a camera phone with all the intricate details of that situation. One of them kids have that. I think that's what's being hidden from public. One of them children took a video and filmed that. Hey, probably all of them filmed the situation. That's where the answer lie. With all those kids that got the footage. I think they accepted into law the footage from the stadium because that's where the incident took place. But I think in the courtroom, whatever footage that was submitted came from one of those kids' phones. That's the clear video with the verbiage and everything. Yeah.
This is why I say he was railroaded. Answer this question for me.
Yes, sir.
As someone who have practiced with criminal law, as someone who knows the law, just as a reasonable person,
yeah.
How plausible do you believe it is that you had all those kids out there and not one recorded it when you know kids love recording drama? The moment they think something might happen, they start recording. They said that Carmelo was sitting on.
I just said the same thing. You see what I'm saying? It took a second, but then you got to remember where you at. You're not in your reality. You're not in an adult reality. You're in the kids' world when it comes to that. So you have to think as a teenager. You have to watch what the kids are doing of today to put the pieces together to say, that's what it is. That's what it is. One of those kids gave up that phone in exchange of being let go and not have to go to court, not being arrested, not going to jail. One of them teenagers made a deal. One of them teenagers, somebody had to sign off on some documents. Some parents had to sign off on their kids. One of these kids made a deal with the government, and for the rest of their life, they could never get in trouble. If not all of them. They got to walk a thin line for the rest of their natural born life. I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening.
And not one recorded it when you know kids love recording drama. The moment they think something might happen, they start recording. They said that Carmelo was sitting under that tent for about 3 minutes before the altercation occurred. That means youngsters got plenty of time to pull those phones out and start recording. And we ain't got one recording? Come on, man. That's why we knew he was going to get railroaded. We ain't got one recording, bro. Not one. Ain't nobody answering that question. Nobody wants to know why. Where are those damn videos? I submit to you that somebody got paid off and intimidated.
Well, what would the video recording of the killing change?
The video recording would show exactly what happened. Because right now we're leaning on the understanding or the testimony of Austin Metcalf's tribe, his friends, his schoolmates. We're leaning on and the testimony of people who was intimidated by the prosecution and investigators. Yeah, you think that's not going on in Collin County where people are being intimidated and threatened to not give full testimony?
Well, here's the thing, Willie D. There were other people who weren't even from Collin County out there. It was a track meet. You had grown-ups. You think these people are gonna lie and put their life? I mean, you can't.
Yes.
You lie on this. Well,
There's a million precedents for it. Yes, they will lie. Okay. Yes, they will lie and put their reputation on the line. Yes.
Okay.
We've seen it happen many times.
Yep. Willie D put it out there, man. You see? Yeah, people will lie. And that's the thing, man. That's the thing with the law. The law always try to get you to second guess yourself. You know what I'm saying? The law always wants you to second guess yourself, make you feel like you subservient to the words coming out of a lawyer mouth or the judge mouth. You know? As if because you're not studious in that field of study as they are, that you're not allowed to have an opinion, and some of your opinion could be actual fact, but they would never reveal to you that, where you figure that part out from. So yeah, it's true, man. People will lie. People will put their reputation on the line to make Carmelo Anthony burn and crash, you know what I'm saying? Especially they know that everything's going to be in their favor and there's no chance of anything getting back to them. Yeah, they're going to take that chance and lie. Yeah, they're going to say it. Yeah. Willie D is right. You know, Dennis is smart. He's a lawyer, but he's playing that game of a lawyer just to get the response from Willie D. But that's why, this show is what it is right here. That footage brings, it brings that energy out. So you don't have to be a conspiracy thinker, but maybe just a little bit.
There were 20 prosecution witnesses. There were 4 defense witnesses. And let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Carmelo Anthony. Number one, he didn't take the stand. So the only thing we have to go on is the body cam footage and what was recorded in the police report from the body cam footage. He said he touched me first. He never said they jumped me. They touched me first. So out of Carmelo Anthony's own mouth, he never said he was jumped. The only people to start saying he was jumped was the internet. Carmelo Anthony never said that. So my question is, if this is what the jury heard, if this is what the evidence is presented, you have a path to conviction. So again, I can't focus on what the jury didn't see, and I'm not going to speculate as to what's out there. If it's not before the jury, it doesn't count. It's just like this. It doesn't matter what happens. It's only what happens. The only thing that the jury can relate to is what's presented in court. That's the evidence. Evidence has to be presented in a certain form. Otherwise, you could just start making up stuff. Somebody could come along and say, well, he did this to me, he did that. We've seen that happen in a lot of other issues related to SA. Somebody comes out the blue from 30 years ago and said, you did this. There's no evidence, but because they said you did this, and now we're talking about a civil matter, preponderance of evidence, which is a very low standard to meet, you lose your fortune. You get sued. And so we have to have a gatekeeper sort of situation when it comes to evidence. We can't just rely on speculatory evidence. If it exists, it needs to come forward. If there's evidence out there that can exonerate Carmelo Anthony, we can't just talk about it. Where is it? We'd like to see it. Why didn't the prosecutors give it or bring it forth? Where's TMZ? Right? We have all these people. Now, we can talk about what kid could have, should have done, why they didn't whip their video out. I don't know. That's not before the jury. The only thing I want to focus on is what was brought before the jury. And if we stay focused on what the jury had, we can come to the conclusion.
You see? Stay focused on what the jury had and come to the conclusion, because now this is where his job is on the line. He can't show no-sidedness. He can't show that maybe Carmelo did have a way out. So I get it. You know, that is his profession. That is his career path. That's his paperwork, his certifications, his license. You know, his lifestyle came from that world, so he can't still be against that, because once a lawyer, always a lawyer. Like once a police, always a police. So I get it. But still, people are going to think outside of the box. That's part of being a human being. You got some people that go to the light, you know? And you got some people that's going to snap up out of that trance and go, wait a minute. Some people be like locked in. Some people be like, wait, nah. You trying to get me caught up in this, you know, this glow. I gotta snap out of it.
They had enough evidence to find this young man guilty of murder beyond a reasonable doubt. That's where we are.
Okay, now I will agree to you if we stay focused on what the jury was presented. But Dennis, you acting like these people don't suppress evidence, and that you acting like they don't omit evidence. Like everything that we saw and everything we heard was the only truth that was out there. Like these people.
That's what I said. Thinking outside the box. See, Willie D is thinking outside the box. Basically saying, come on, you're acting like everything in law is so righteous and upright. You understand? As if them people that work in law ain't underhanded. As if they're not a human being. As if they not using their education and putting that in the front to try to, as my father used to say, talk over your head. Because you have human beings that carry themselves that way because they're more informed than you are, or they believe they are more informed than you are in a particular field. They want to talk over you as if your words don't have no existence or don't mean nothing. Let's get back to this.
Acting like they don't omit evidence. Like everything that we saw and everything we heard was the only truth that was out there. Like these people time and time again have lied, suppressed evidence, intimidated witnesses. How much prosecutorial misconduct is out there on a daily basis, where these people act like they have complete autonomy over the legal system. They just do whatever the hell they want to do. Let's go back to what you said moments ago when you talked about Carmelo Anthony confessing that he put his hands on me. That could be a fraud. That could be a fraudulent slip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, we think about it. He's under a lot of pressure. He's under intense pressure right now. He's experiencing anxiety. He just stabbed somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times have you misspoken? You know, in the heat of the moment, in that exact moment. How many times have you misspoken? So that don't mean that just he. I mean, two things can be true. He could have put his hands on him, but other people may have put their hands on him too. But he mentioned him because he stabbed him, not them.
All right, Willie. I hear you, Willie.
Man, I'm just, my thing is this, Dennis. Look, man, Dennis, I'm just saying, man. I just know how people are, man. I know they play dirty, and when we speak like we talking about the rules, like the rules don't get broken, like they don't move the goalposts, like they don't suppress evidence, like they don't lie, like they don't intimidate witnesses. You act like that stuff is off the table. It's not. Especially times.
I'm not, Willie. I'm not. And they have something called a Brady disclosure where the prosecutors are obligated to give exonerating evidence that would exonerate a defendant. They're obligated to do it. If they don't do it, it's ground for a new trial. Okay, but
and they never get punished. And people never get punished.
They do get punished, really. They get punished. But what I'm saying is, man, they have an obligation to do that. But in this particular situation, you're telling me that Carmelo Anthony's statement that he put his hands on me, we shouldn't believe it.
No, I didn't say we shouldn't believe it. I say two things can be true. He could have said he put his hands on me, and yes, indeed, he did put his hands on him. Mm-hmm. But also, he could have admitted other things that happened in that moment, in the heat of the moment, while he's being arrested. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he also said that. I mean, he said that I'm not. He said this is the alleged perpetrator. He said no, it's not alleged. I did it. Are we not supposed to believe that either?
Yeah, we believe that.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on now, Willie D. Hold on, Willie D. Hold on. So we can accept the fact that when he admitted that he did it, that's true. But we can't accept the fact that when he said he put his hands on me, that limits it to one person and not multiple people. That what you telling us, Willie D?
Yeah, I'm saying that two things can be true. That the fact that he did admit that dude put his hands on him, and suggesting that is the reason why he stuck him. But at the same time, he could have omitted that the fact that everything else that was happening around him and other people attacked him, because the fact that he stuck him is the most important, is the reason why he's arrested. Not because of he was defending himself against fighting off other people or whatever.
You have a valid point. You're basically.
You see, and I just called it. You know, Willie D is basically expressing what it is, thinking outside the box. And that's what most people who don't have the field of study does. And as a human being, you know, intelligence is there. You have basic intelligence, you have high-level intelligence, you have genius intelligence. So just because you go to school to be a lawyer don't make you a genius. All you need to have is a competent brain to take in information, regurgitate it, remember the information, and there you go. But yeah, Carmelo Anthony, he was under a lot of stress, man. I'm telling you, his heart was racing, brain was spinning. So, you know, that's the first thing he admitted to the cops is, oh, it's no alleged. I did it. You know, come on. His nerves is rattled, you know. You know, he had tunnel vision. But, you know, the law, anything you say out your mouth will be used against you. And security guards that have the body camera, or police officers that got the body camera, that's the law too. Them cameras is part of the law. You know, those cameras is part of the law. So if you speaking on it and the cameras is running, that's it. That's it.
What you're saying, Willie, is that hey, he might have just omitted to tell you that he was so hyper focused on the individual in front of him that he didn't bring up the fact that there were other people around him creating an environment of fear because he felt like there was an imminent attack from multiple people. I get what you're saying. Exactly. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But the jury, not only did they see the video, and it didn't look like it was a bunch of people standing over and packing them out. Okay. In addition to that, they heard multiple witnesses, and none of them testified. It was a bunch of people standing around him packing them out. I know you said the jury, they fear for their life, and they don't want. I get what you're saying, Willie. But if you take all that evidence together, okay, if you take it all together, and you weigh it out, the trier of fact, the jury determined that there was no grounds for this young man to use deadly force, and that's why he got a murder conviction. All I'm trying to do is show you all, show the public.
They said no grounds to use deadly force. But Carmelo Anthony is a small guy. Them two brothers are large. And you're not going to tell me one brother, twins at that they didn't act as one. As if they wasn't on the same accord. So, if he went to attack one, the other one was going to come get him. Because that's how twins is. Twins, they in sync, man. Twins rock like that. So, be honest, man. If you 6 feet and you 200 pounds, your whole body is a weapon. So that's over 400 pounds there. Just two brothers alone is over 400 pounds. And I don't want to hear that the guy in the blue sweater, the guy in the blue sweater legs look like toothpicks. They could easily intimidate him. Because, he had darker skin, so it can't be racial. It's easy to intimidate him. The one in the blue sweater. He probably weak. He probably was raised to kiss up to them. I'm just saying, that's my opinion. Because this here gets redundant. It's taxing on the brain. Any child can get caught up in a situation like that. But the law is the law. And the law have its ways. And if it's not followed according to the law, then that's what it's going to be. I get it.
How most fear for their life, and they don't want. I get what you're saying, Willie. But if you take all that evidence together, okay, if you take it all together, and you weigh it out, the trier of fact, the jury determined that there was no grounds for this young man to use deadly force. And that's why he got a murder conviction. All I'm trying to do is show you all, show the public how most lawyers, most people who've been involved in the criminal justice system figured out well ahead of time that this young man was going to prison. The only question was whether or not he was going to go to prison for murder or manslaughter. Now let me give you some we'll just say, I guess, for the people, legal game. Let's listen. I want you to hear this strategy for me. All right. So the reason we don't know what happened is because we haven't heard Carmelo Anthony speak. He didn't come up on the stand and testify. We shouldn't hold that against him. Carmelo Anthony was 17 when this incident happened. He's 19 now. Willie D, a fully grown, mature man, is going to be able to testify different than a young 17 or 19-year-old boy on the stand. Same thing with Dennis Spurling and any other mature adult. We're going to say it, we're not going to feel overly stressed out. It is what it is, okay? This 19-year-old boy, had he testified now, his testimony would be locked in to the public record forever. So let's say he gets an appeal. And I think he will be granted an appeal because appeals are mandatory in the state of Texas. The state of Texas Court of Criminal Appeals is intermediate courts was mandatory. So he's going to be granted appeal. They're going to look at everything, and I think there's a more than 50% chance that this particular verdict is going to be overturned because they excluded all of the black jurors. Now we can go into that another.
Now, keyword. That's what I want to hear. You see, when you think outside the box, like Willie did, a person got to be upfront with you. He got to keep it real with you. And that's what it is. So Mr. Dennis now is saying there's maybe a good chance that the verdict may be overturned. Now, I don't know what that means. I'm not a lawyer. I don't think that means he walk home free. But I think that does mean that he's going to get a fair retrial. He's going to get a fair opportunity. They're going to put people of his peer, people of his ilk, people of his ethnic group in there. People that understand the scenario. You know, so it won't be just one-sided. But once that I knew it, I said it. Once that footage is revealed, it's going to be a different thing. And like I said, I admit it. I was one of the first parents to admit. I was one of the first adults to admit. I said he's a fool for bringing a knife to a track meet because there's no other children that should be carrying weapons. There's no other children that would be having weapons on them to go to a track meet. You're going there to run track. You know what I'm saying? So why would you bring a weapon? But then when I got word that it wasn't a weapon, it was something that you used to get the dirt out your cleats, I said, oh, okay. So he just used that to defend himself. But anything becomes a weapon. If it passes through skin and bone and harms you and take you out, it's a weapon. But, yeah. The footage, this will get everybody, you know, eyes glued and trying to look for the ins and outs of the situation. Because this thing here is just the beginning. Just the beginning. Oh, man. What an interesting perspective from Mr. Dennis Spurling. What a strategic, combative way for Mr. Willie D. Two sides of the same coin. Nah. Same coin, but opposite sides. Because Willie D was more leaning into speaking for the people. Dennis is speaking for the law. At the same time, educating Willie. And that's what Great Minds does. So yeah, it's another saga. Another saga. The saga continues. Life could be such a journey, man. You don't know what's going to be your decision. You don't know what's going to be your fate. You don't know what's going to happen to you day to day. Minute by minute, hour on hour. Life is uncanny. To the next time, fellas. To the next time, lady. To the next time, chat. To the next time, YouTube world. I'm out.